Welcome to this explainer on Javon Blake's IRONLAB Elite Fat Loss Blueprint. Let's jump right in because today we are completely flipping the script on weight loss. We're going to learn how to shred fat by treating your body like a highly tuned, high-performance engine rather than just obsessing over a random number on a scale.
So first up, why do most fat loss programs fail? And let's be real, they fail constantly. It's actually not the fundamental science that's broken. It's because those traditional, super rigid 1,200-calorie starvation diets, they are literally disastrous for an athlete's body. They eat away at your hard-earned muscle, absolutely crash your metabolism, and throw your hormones completely out of whack. By week 3, you know the feeling. You're just left weak, starving, and completely burned out.
Today, we're breaking down the exact 6-part blueprint to build a leaner, stronger engine, putting performance way ahead of starvation. We'll hit the performance-first mindset, the iron law of calories, macros and nutrient timing, neat and smart cardio, breaking plateaus and refeeds, and wrap up with avoiding critical mistakes.
All right, part 1, the performance-first mindset. Look, before we even touch numbers or food, we've got to get our philosophy straight. Failing at fat loss, it is almost always a systems problem, not a willpower problem. It's kind of like a furnace. When you drastically underfuel your body with a crash diet, the furnace doesn't just burn cooler, it actually starts cannibalizing its own structure, your lean muscle, just to keep the lights on. This leads directly to metabolic crashes and that dreaded rebound weight gain. But the IRONLAB protocol, it uses intelligent engineering. It targets fat loss while specifically retaining muscle and keeping your performance peaking. By training hard, you send this massive biochemical signal to your body saying, hey, we still need this muscle, which forces it to preferentially burn fat instead. Moving on to part 2, the iron law of calories. To fuel this engine properly, we have to master the one biological mechanism that drives every single ounce of fat you're ever going to lose, the caloric deficit. Now, the IRONLAB standard here is a highly precise 400 to 500 calorie daily deficit from your maintenance level. You know, a lot of people try to rush things, right? They go for this crazy aggressive 800 or 1,000 calorie cut, but doing that throws us right back into that muscle-wasting danger zone we just talked about. A 400 to 500 calorie deficit is the absolute sweet spot. It delivers a consistent, sustainable fat loss of about 3/4 pound to 1 pound per week, all while keeping your muscle and athletic output intact.
Okay, but how do we actually find that starting number? You need to calculate your total daily energy expenditure, or TDE. It's a 2-step process. First, you calculate your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, using the Mifflin-Sangior formula. Think of this as the calories you burn just staying alive, like if you stayed in bed all day. Then, you multiply that by your true activity level. So, say you're moderately active, hitting the gym 3 to 5 days a week, you'd multiply your BMR by 1.55. That final number, that's your maintenance level. Just subtract 400 to 500 from that, and boom, you've got your exact daily calorie target.
Which brings us to part 3, macros and nutrient timing. Hitting that calorie goal is honestly just the starting line. How you actually fill those calories is what determines if you're losing pure body fat or sacrificing that hard-earned muscle. Let's look at a real-world example of a 180-pound athlete eating 2,400 calories a day. Protein, absolutely non-negotiable. It's your structural material. You need 1.0 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight just to prevent muscle breakdown. Next up is dietary fat, which has to stay above 0.4 grams per pound. Dropping your fats too low is a huge mistake because fats protect your testosterone levels and your body's entire hormonal architecture. And then, whatever calories you have left over, those go straight to carbohydrates.
And listen, carbohydrates are not the enemy. I know they get a bad rap, but they are your primary performance fuel. The trick is to front-load them around your training. About 60 to 90 minutes before a workout, you want moderate carbs and some protein to really prime that anabolic signaling. Then, within 90 minutes post-workout, bring in those fast-digesting carbs and proteins to kickstart recovery. On your rest days, when you just aren't burning as much glycogen, simply drop your carbs by 30 to 50 grams and lean a bit more on protein and fats.
All right, part 4, neat and smart cardio.
Let's talk about the cooling and efficiency systems of your body because, man, most people get this completely wrong. The biggest, most effective lever you have for fat loss isn't sweating it out on a treadmill. It's actually just hitting 8,000 to 14,000 daily steps. We call this NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. The math here is wild. Every 1,000 extra steps you take burns roughly 40 to 50 calories. If you just bump your day from 5,000 to 10,000 steps, you are burning hundreds of extra calories without taking on the massive recovery debt of a high-intensity cardio session. It's literally a cheat code.
Now, when you do decide to add structured cardio, you've got to be strategic. Priority number 1 is Zone 2 cardio, which means keeping your heart rate around 60 to 70% of your max. Why? Because at this intensity, your body burns pure fat for fuel, and the recovery cost is super low, meaning it won't mess with your heavy lifting. 2 to 4 times a week is perfect. High-intensity interval training, HIIT, on the other hand, use it sparingly. It completely drains your glycogen and takes a lot to recover from. Save HIIT for breaking plateaus, maybe once or twice a week tops, and never ever do it right before lifting weights.
Next up, Part 5, Breaking Plateaus and Refeeds.
Here's the truth. Eventually, no matter how flawless your plan is, your metabolism is going to adapt. Fat loss will stall out. When the scale stops moving, or worse, if your strength suddenly drops, do not panic. You just follow the protocol. The most important thing here is the sequence of events. Before you ever think about dropping your food intake, you go through this exact checklist. Step 1, audit your tracking. Are you actually eating what you think you are? Step 2, bump up your daily movement by 1,500 to 2,000 steps. Honestly, that alone usually restarts the fat loss. Step 3, slowly pull back your carbs by 20 to 30 grams. Step 4, throw in an extra Zone 2 cardio session. Step 5, implement a refeed. And only as the absolute last resort, Step 6, do you drop your calories by another 100 to 150.
I really want to highlight Step 5 because refeeds are so heavily misunderstood. A refeed day is not a cheat day. Let me repeat that, not a cheat day. If you've been cutting calories for weeks, your leptin levels, that's the hormone controlling hunger and metabolism, they start to tank. A structured refeed day involves eating exactly at your maintenance calories, but with a massive 150 to 250 gram increase in carbs. This specifically spikes those leptin levels back up and refills depleted muscle glycogen. It's precise. A cheat day, on the other hand, is just a massive, unstructured calorie bomb of high fats and carbs that can literally wipe out a whole week of hard work in one sitting.
Finally, Part 6, Avoiding Critical Mistakes. If you want to make sure your metabolic engine doesn't completely blow out, you have to avoid the fatal errors that sabotage 90% of all fat loss journeys. First up, inaccurate tracking. People routinely underestimate their food intake by 20 to 40%. It's crazy. Second, weekend damage. Binging on the weekend will absolutely erase 5 days of a perfect deficit. Third, poor sleep. Sleeping under 6 hours spikes your cortisol, ruins your hormones, and even limits how well supplements work, like the 5-gram daily creatine protocol recommended by ATP Labs. Add excessive cardio, completely eliminating carbs, and having zero patience for a realistic half-pound to 1 pound a week loss, you're just asking for failure.
Look, it all comes down to this one simple truth. Systems beat motivation. Every single day. If you just stick to the non-negotiables, tracking your food accurately, hitting those protein targets, training hard, and getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you completely transform fat loss. It stops being this chaotic, emotional roller coaster and turns into a logical, mathematical, inevitable outcome. It becomes a system.
So, wrapping up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this question. Are you ready to stop starving your body and start actually fueling it for elite performance? Because when you treat your body like the high-performance machine it truly is, hitting your goals is just a matter of time. Take this blueprint, apply the science, and leave us a comment below. What part of your daily system are you going to upgrade first? Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one.